Me before I put it down.
We have the quarterback of the Kansas State Wildcats, football champion Will Howard.
So excited to announce Kansas City Sports Network's new soccer channel. They're taking advantage of a look that they utilized earlier in the game to show that jet sweep motion.
It's a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise.
You kind of root for guys to have those moments, and that was certainly a big moment.
Welcome into Mizzou, That's True, your podcast for Missouri Athletics here on KC Sports Network.
Welcome, everybody, to the Border War podcast.
Welcome back. Another episode of Ain't No Season podcast.
You are listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
It's a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our partners in Possible. It's been wonderful working with them. It's been wonderful working with these two gentlemen. I know Maddie Lane's been watching a little bit of the quarterback on Netflix, haven't you, Maddie?
I have. Tucker and I talked about it. If you heard us earlier today talking about this, we talked about we hadn't started it last night. I've got through half of it, about 4 episodes in. It's been a lot of fun. It's been good. I like the differences in the different quarterbacks, approaches, all the different stuff. It's been a good documentary. I had high hopes because the golf one, the tennis one that Netflix has done have all been very good. I assumed this one would be also done well, and I think it is. Craig, have you started quarterback at all?
Absolutely not. I have not even had a moment of time to turn that on, but I'm looking forward to it. I've heard nothing but positive things about Kirk Cousins, which must really how are you dealing with that, buddy? So much praise for Kirk Cousins on the timeline. You notoriously not a Kirk Cousins fan.
I'm gonna start calling him Kirkland Cousins, because that man is a walking Costco. And you want to know something? I gotta love it.
I was gonna say, wait, is that
that's you?
It is great to watch a documentary on a fellow Kirkland King. I'm enjoying it.
He's great on there. He is great on there. He's perfect. He's perfect as the contrast from spoiler, Marcus Mariota's not on there a lot. Okay. He's just not there a lot. It's mostly Mahomes and Cousins, and it's a really good, they're very different. And so I think that makes it work really well. I will say this though. Playing football is very hard. Playing in the NFL is unimaginably hard. Kirk Cousins' documentary makes it look as hard as it possibly can. Just absolutely as hard as it can.
It's kind of true.
all I'm hearing from this is that we can chalk Kent up for some self-loathing classes, because it sounds like Kirk's exactly like him in every way, and somehow Kent still doesn't like him.
Definitely not. No? I would have a little bit more drip at a podium than him. There's a couple.
Hold on.
Wait. That's what you're going to lead with?
I need a challenge flag.
Come on. Dude, look, it's not like the bar's high. I mean, this dude, look, he bought a couple shirts straight from the section at Costco. I'm not even sure he ironed the shirt, and y'all are out here. I have some style, just a tad. Wow, it got way too quiet on it. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of this. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Appreciate everybody that is hanging out with us. Please feel free to leave that 5-star review. Helps us grow KC Sports Network. It's almost time for real football to start, and that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be previewing the Patriots and the Bengals today. Couple quick things. I don't know, it'll be too late by Monday. Quinnen Williams gets his deal today. $66 million guaranteed, 4 years, $96 million, $96 million APY, or $24 million APY, or 24 and a half. It's 20. It doesn't matter. 24 million APY. That's right. Yes. Hashtag math. Just quick thought. That feels like the last domino. right? Like that's the last thing that needs to get settled with the Chris Jones stuff going on, right, Manny?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should be a little surprised if we get much beyond midway next week without seeing a Chris Jones substantial news, whether that is the contract, which is what I would suspect, or you start to hear a lot about the team, the two sides not even being close. I just think you're getting one of the two, and I don't expect the latter. It's just, I do think that's a slim possibility, but like you're going to get some kind of news by Wednesday of next week at the latest, I think, because this was the last, I guess, hurdle that you would be waiting for.
Yes, absolutely. And frankly, Quinnen Williams not clearing the $25 million mark, I think kind of sets the table. Like, I don't know that there's much of an expectation now at this point. Chris Jones still very clearly said, I want to be the second highest paid player, defensive tackle. I assume he means APY because Quinnen Williams just went over the top of Aaron Donald with guaranteed money, $66 million versus $65 million. I assume that's an APY perspective. We'll see how it all shakes out. You've got the top end. You've got essentially third place now after the Chris Jones deal. There's nothing that's really bounding this anymore. And on top of that, Chris Jones at the ESPYs last night, having himself a really good time, posts a picture of himself on Instagram and says, the show enjoyed celebrating with my brothers last night. DeAndre Hopkins throws up prayer hands underneath it. That's fine. Whatever, praise hands, not prayer hands, praise hands, throws them up, all of that. Wonderful. Great. That sort of stuff happens. It's Chris Jones's reaction to that, fingers crossed, and the handshake deal. So it's happening. Things are coming. Listen, it's happening. It's happening right now.
You're calling your shot here on Nuke too? Is that what you're doing?
I am calling my shot on Chris Jones. I'm not willing to go any further.
Oh yeah,
I heard it. No, I heard you was calling it for Nuke too. Like you put it out there that it was.
Fine, I'll call it for Nuke. Let's call it for Nuke.
Let's go.
I have breaking news. Per Dove Kleinman, Craig Stout has said that the Chiefs
don't do that to Craig. Don't do that to Craig.
No, that feels appropriate for the level of knowledge that I have on the situation.
Yeah, we'll monitor that. I would love for there to be Chris Jones news by Monday so we can talk about it on the show. That would be absolutely delightful. We're going to preview the New England Patriots and the Cincinnati Fraud Goals today. We'll start with the Patriots. Save the best for first. Quality of the roster, Greg.
I mean, this feels like a Bill Belichick roster. There's some dudes in there that you look at and you're like, oh, I can see how that guy could play like 3 different positions on this defense for Bill. And there's a lot of those types of guys on here. It's fine. Like I look at it, I see all the ways that Bill Belichick can utilize this group of individuals, especially a lot of the rookies there. I really like what they did adding to their group. We'll get to some of them coming up here. The offensive line is fine. There's going to be holes in here, but it's going to be fine. They're going to get the ball out quick with Mac Jones anyway. They add Juju Smith-Schuster. They've got Devontae Parker, Kendrick Bourne. I look at it and it's a lot of fine on this roster. And what we've seen is Bill Belichick doing a lot with fine rosters in his career. I expect the same here. It's one of the few teams that I look at and I'm just like, yeah, I get it. It may not be top end anyways, but I can see how this team wins.
Listen, people aren't ready for the conversation, but Bill Belichick ain't doing much without Tom Brady. Okay, let's just call a spade a spade. Bill Belichick,
I'm ready for it.
Not doing much without Tom Brady,
and without cheating. Some would say.
I'll allow the cheating. So he's not doing much without Tom Brady. And this roster looks like one that the Patriots would go contend for a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. Unfortunately, they have a McCorkle Jones behind center, and despite his ability to throw a 70-yard bomb in shorts and a t-shirt
in a 60-yard field, it feels only 60.
He hasn't been that good at quarterback. So
seriously,
this is a weird one. This is an interesting case study here. What are you going on about? I mean, just ignoring you and talking over you, but you can interrupt me now. It's okay.
The field that someone said Mac Jones threw a 70-yard bomb on is only 60 yards long.
Could have thrown it from
Nope.
the sideline.
Nope. That's not it. It's just
I
flat out not a
100% didn't
70-yard
watch it.
throw. It's not.
I didn't watch it at all, so I'll take
Does
your
not exist.
So, anywho, they have Mac Jones back there trying to lead a very mid roster, top to bottom, into the playoffs, into the Super Bowl. And I think it's just going to come crashing down yet again. I think it's literally just going to fall flat again because there's not enough talent on this team with somebody boosting it up. Tom Brady was boosting up average rosters his entire career with the Patriots, not every year, but a lot of years. And that's the way that Bill Belichick is continuing to build this roster with culture guys, with Belichick guys that can do this, that, or the other. Unless you have the people propping them up, I don't know if that's enough. And I think we're starting to see that with the Patriots here. And I expect this year to be much of the same.
Yeah, only pushback on that a little bit is they had one of the best defenses in the NFL at the end of the year, by the end of the year. And
smoke screen.
Maybe, but they return everybody back.
Wasn't a 100-yard field.
That's why. Which totally wouldn't help the off.
It's 125.
They lost a couple receivers that are losable. Jacoby Myers, Nelson Aguilar. They brought in Juju Smith-Schuster, whose knee, we'll see. I mean, it was kind of surprised that he got as much as he did from him. But yeah, I don't know. I'm with you in principle, but also this defense did really well last year and added some interesting dudes to it as well. So what is the quality of the staff, Craig?
I mean, if they're better than last year, they're better than last year because they have an offensive coordinator this year. And Sophia even acknowledges it's Bill O'Brien. Sophia says, can we acknowledge that it's not that good? I mean, Bill O'Brien, everywhere he's gone, has been heralded as this great offensive mind that is going to bring about all this change, really boost everything around him. But in reality, what has he really done? Deshaun Watson and D-Hop on 50-50 balls just over and over and over again in that Houston Texans offense. That's not something that Bill O'Brien is saying, okay, well, I'm gonna scheme D-Hop up here. No, they're just throwing the ball up. He goes to Alabama, gets to play under Nick Saban, gets to coach elite players at every single position. Of course, they were good on offense. That's what it is. Now he's coming back here to New England. He is coaching Mac Jones. He's coaching these guys that are fine receivers. They've got a fine set of weapons, but I don't see anything that, in his past that's really going to lead me to believe that he's going to take this group of guys, elevate them to something better than they are. And they desperately need that. To Maddie's point there, they need something to boost this offense up, to give them that extra leg up and do all of the things that Tom Brady did. It's not going to come from Bill O'Brien, in my opinion.
So I like Bill O'Brien. I think like's a strong word. I think Bill O'Brien is a smart offensive mind. I think Bill O'Brien can design and call a good offense. I don't know if he's as good as Josh McDaniels is at that exact same thing, though. So if I go back 2 years ago and look what the Patriots offense was, this version of it, the best with McDaniels at the helm, I don't see how they are going to even match that, which was just a competent offense. Not good, not great, just competent. I think it's going to be a struggle for them to get back there despite Bill O'Brien being a clear upgrade over whatever dog and pony show they had trying to run the offense last year. Defensively, Bill Belichick, as much, as I was joking around about how he's not the guy that maybe we all talked about to be, that's like kind of tongue in cheek. He's still a great defensive coach. He's still going to do wonders on the defensive side of the ball. Kent said it. The defense last year was still pretty darn good. I will say, competition level matters for them a little bit when you're talking about the defense. The good offenses they played kind of didn't have that hard of a time with them. So it was mixed results. They gave up over 30 points, 3 out of their last 7 games. Defense wasn't that great. I just still trust Bill Belichick to make that work. It's the offensive side that I think has a lot of room for improvement. I still think there's a hard ceiling, and you don't have to look any farther than the 2021 Patriots offense.
Yeah, you make a good point, Maddie. I mean, they allowed 35 points to a good offense like the Bills, and then they were allowing only 22 to an offense like the Bengals. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back right after this.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.
Craig.
Yes, sir.
Kent.
Matthew.
Donkey.
Paper.
New additions for the New England
Like
Patriots.
and subscribe.
5-star review.
You know where I'm going with the new addition here. My guy, Demario Douglas. Wide receiver out of Liberty. It was a guy that would have been my guy.
Really?
Of course you knew that's where it was going here. But I don't just mean that. Everybody's going to look at that as like it's a late day 3 pick. Like, what really is this guy going to bring to it? Look at their depth chart. He is the backup slot wide receiver to Juju Smith-Schuster, who is not healthy right now. Demario Douglas has a real opportunity to get on the field in a big way in this offense. And within a very structured offense where there's going to be very much a bam, bam sort of read, Demario Douglas has the separation ability, the agility, and the wide receiversmanship, because I don't have a better word for it. I gotta love that one. We're getting a shirt for that one. Wide receiver.
Wide receivermanship and losable wide receivers so far this episode. We're on a roll.
Love it. Anyway, he's going to get time. And Mac Jones is going to fall in love with this guy because he's going to be in the right spot. He's going to gain enough separation out of the slot. That's where this team needs a guy to step up. It's why Juju Smith-Schuster made a ton of sense for this offense and still does. He is going to be the guy for that offense, especially out of the slot. If he can't go, if that knee is bugging him into the season, Demario Douglas is going to be the first man up. And I'm not going to be surprised if he steps up, has a pretty big start to his rookie year before Juju Smith-Schuster gets healthy.
Listen, I agree with a lot of what Craig's saying, specifically in regards to Juju Smith-Schuster here, about maybe he's not going to be healthy. They might have to split some time with him. So that's why my new addition is Mike Gesicki hitting the gritty out of the slot, replacing Juju Smith-Schuster up and down the field. Every catch, every touchdown, he is going to hit the widest gritty you have ever seen, and he is going to have no shame. Kent is great at doing the Mike Gesicki gritty. He's going to have no shame in it. I think that he's actually a pretty good fit for them. I think he does give Mac Jones a little bit of a safety net of a player to throw to, who's a big tight end, tall, good catch radius. He can do a lot of the things that make a lot of younger quarterbacks feel safe. And I think Gesicki is a pretty good receiving tight end. Don't ask him to block. Just don't do it. Just no, stop. Don't do it. And that's why they have guys like Hunter Henry and Anthony Firsker in there to do a lot of the blocking. He'll spend most of the time split out wide. So yeah, I think Gesicki's going to be in for a pretty big year. And I think it'll be a little surprising for those that maybe do the fantasy stuff after coming off a dud year in Miami. I think Gesicki's going to be a little bit of a sleeper for a position in fantasy football that usually has like one guy that matters, and his name's Travis Kelce.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd classify him entirely as a tight end. There's a lot more wide receivermanship to him than there is to most tight ends.
Make the shirts, baby. Let's go.
I'll go off the reservation just like Bill Belichick's drafts. I'm going to go with Marte Mapu. I'm going to go with him. And he was the 3rd round pick for the New England Patriots. And like, there's a couple other guys we can talk about. Like, I know there's some low hanging fruit here. I really wanted to talk about Mike Gesicki, but Maddie took him. Marte Mapu's kind of interesting though, because like I look at one of the things I was going to say about Mike Gesicki is we can kind of talk about Bill Belichick rosters, but when Bill Belichick rosters are humming, he's identifying guys with specific skill sets and exploiting them to their best on both sides of the ball, specifically on defense. Like we talk about Andy exploiting the strengths of all of his players on offense. Well, I think Bill Belichick does that better than anybody in the National Football League on the defensive side of the ball. And Marte Mapu, I don't know if I liked him as a 3rd round player, but he's kind of an intriguing linebacker, safety, nickel, hybrid type player that, did a lot of stuff at Sacramento State and, started as a safety, worked his way closer to the box, kind of operated more as an overhang, but he's kind of like one of those unique players where I could see, the Patriots having a very defined specific plan for him and Bill Belichick having something very specifically in mind, which is why they didn't want to mess around and made sure to take him in the 3rd round. Was a little bit rich for me. He's undersized. He's 215 pounds on a good day after a little bit of clam chowder up there. But like, I don't think he's going to play heavier than that. So how they utilize him is going to be kind of interesting. He's in the perfect situation, I think, for his skill set because Bill Belichick knows how to take all those elements and put them together and kind of make them work. Let's talk
about him, Jabril Peppers, and Kyle Duggar all together. I just like those three guys together. Yeah. Very overlapping skills. So it's going to be interesting. And if there's a defensive coach that will find a way to use them, it is Bill Belichick. Because I mean, that's an interesting, like interchangeable three guys that can kind of play everywhere. So like, I will say that I don't know if I think he was worth a 3rd round pick coming out into the draft.
I don't.
I think it's an interesting situation to at least watch.
Yeah, players to watch though. Craig.
Yeah, I'm going to go with one of the low-hanging fruit for the rookies, Christian Gonzalez, a player that should not have been around at pick 17 in the NFL draft, should have gone much higher, a tier 1 cornerback. This is a guy that has a chance to play at a lockdown level. You're putting him in a Bill Belichick defense. He's a smart player that's going to pick up a multiple scheme. I can see Christian Gonzalez winning Defensive Rookie of the Year easily within this scheme. Hell, Jack Jones gave it a run for his money in this scheme last year, and Christian Gonzalez is a better player than Jack Jones. I like Jack Jones. Christian Gonzalez is just simply better. I can see avenues towards this defense leaning on Christian Gonzalez a lot more. When Bill Belichick has had that stud CB1 type, what he can do shielding the number 2, shielding the slot, playing with these multiple guys. Matty talked about the safeties. Chris talked about Marte Mapu. A lot of those pieces start to make a lot more sense because you can just isolate one side of the field. I think Christian Gonzalez has that ability. If he plays to that level, I am not going to be surprised at all, and I would not be surprised if it helps revolutionize this defense.
I'm going to go with Ramondre Stevenson, the running back, because not a fan of him coming out of college. I do not like big running backs that run soft, and he ran very soft in college. And I wouldn't say he's the most powerful runner in the NFL, but he's a really big back with really nice feet, good agility, and he has been infinitely better than I thought he would be in the NFL. In fact, their offense goes as far as he takes them. When they have good offensive games, it's because he's doing stuff that matters. He's making plays, whether it's in the screen game, whether it's as a runner. Like, he's doing stuff that matters when their offense is good. I don't know if you can funnel in this day and age an offense through just a running back, especially. I like Stevenson. He's been very good, but he's not elite. Like, I don't know if you can funnel an offense through a really good but not elite running back. But the Patriots kind of have to try. So I'm interested to see what he does this year when an offense is probably going to be run through him a lot again. He has very much surprised me, just the transition that he made from college to the NFL and how well he has been. So it's kind of made me a little bit of a fan of a guy that, like, I just simply didn't think was going to cut it that well in the NFL. And he's been phenomenal for the Patriots. Like, I'm kind of a fan of his, and I'm excited to see him and where he can kind of drag this New England offense to.
I think I had a real low grade on him coming out. Like,
yeah, we didn't like him. Yeah, you were with me in the same boat. Like, we just weren't a fan.
Put like a 6th round grade on him. I'm going to go with the starting quarterback for the New England Patriots in Week 15. That'll be Bailey Zappi. No, hey, look, I'm going to talk about the quarterback position. It's a big year for Mac Jones. I mean, it's the big year. I think this is kind of like the defining year for him. There seems like there's been some tension at times there in New England with him and his situation. It hasn't been the cleanest tenure for Mac Jones, and this is kind of the defining year with his old offensive coordinator and Bill O'Brien here in the mix, a guy that's very understands him at a high level, understands how to exploit his talents and his strengths. I think that's one of the things that we probably didn't spend enough time talking about when we were talking about the coaching staff, is that relationship between Bill O'Brien and Mac Jones exists before this. So that's worth noting. And if both of them work well in tandem, this team can be sneaky good. I mean, this team can sneak up on some teams, even in a tough AFC East. They're probably, like, if Mac Jones plays well under Bill O'Brien, this is a team that the AFC East, the loaded AFC East, is going to hate to play. It's going to be very Denver-y, where it's like a really good football team, like a good defense. And, if they get hot on offense, they can give you a few fits here or there, make things competitive. It starts with Mac Jones. And if it doesn't work though, Bailey Zappi time. How does this team beat the Chiefs, Craig?
You let Matthew Judon get close to Patrick Mahomes. Keep that man away from Patrick Mahomes. I say it every single offseason. Just don't let him near Patrick Mahomes. Don't let him hurt him. This defensive line is good enough to disrupt this Chiefs offense. They were good last year. They are arguably going to be better this year with a healthier Christian Barmore, who had some glimpses. His rookie year was good, had some glimpses, but he was hurt a lot of last year. They added Keon White, a player that I'm not like a super huge fan of, but again, one of those players that you look at and you're like, oh, damn it, Belichick's going to get the most out of that kind of guy. I see a lot of paths to success for this defense, specifically this defensive line, to disrupt the Chiefs offense. And then on the back end, they've got enough players in that secondary to be a little bit competitive against the Chiefs offensive weapons. Even Travis Kelce, Kyle Duggar, his rookie year was not bad against Travis Kelce and has arguably gotten better. So it really starts and ends with this defense really disrupting the Chiefs offense. I don't see the other side of the ball being the part that's going to do it, but if they're going to win, it's going to be this defense really doing it all.
Yeah, it would be Bill Belichick having one of these great, like, out of left field kind of game plans where they're running something else all year. The Chiefs are seeing something else all year. And then all of a sudden for this game, it's a complete curveball. And then at halftime, he flips it again, right? As the Chiefs are looking to maybe, kind of pin it down, then he flips it again and you get a Bill Belichick masterpiece. It's obviously not entirely, out of left field. It's not out of the question for that to happen. The problem with the Patriots is, while they're not good, and I think we got a question in here if from Sophia here, if like this would be one of those games where Andy kind of gives you a ho-hum kind of game plan or something. I don't think so, because it's the Patriots. They've built up a lot of ill will from teams around the league just because they whoop their ass forever, because they beat them down so frequently. Nobody takes the Patriots lightly. As long as Bill Belichick's there, no one's going to roll into the Patriots like, oh, okay, this is a walk in the park. Everyone wants to stick it to the Patriots after they got beat down by them for 2 decades. So, like, I don't think you're going to have a down game from the Chiefs. It's just there is a chance you get a Bill Belichick masterclass. It comes down to this, a dragging game where the Patriots control the ball, the defenses play stellar, and the Chiefs just kind of have a low scoring output, and the Patriots are able to come away with the victory, late in the fourth quarter.
You get a lot of good against anything type plays in that kind of game plan because you never know what Bill Belichick's going to throw at him. Non-Mahomes Chiefs MVP in this game, Craig.
It's Nick Bolton. I think when we were talking about MVPs, I knew we were doing this. This was one of those games that I kind of targeted all along as a Nick Bolton game. They're going to run the ball a lot. They're going to throw a lot of short passes. They're going to try and bunch up the middle of the field a little bit here with Mac Jones, Ramondre Stevenson, Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki. I can see Nick Bolton having a huge imprint on this game, not just stopping the run, but making multiple plays against the pass, being in the throwing lane, trying to disrupt some of those things, laying big hits across the middle of the field. This just feels like one of those a little bit old school slobber knocker style games, especially if the Patriots are going to come out and play that way as well. These are the ones that we tend to see second level defenders for the Chiefs defense really kind of ratcheted up a notch. I expect a big Nick Bolton game.
I think Craig kind of mentioned it earlier. The Patriots, especially with Kyle Duggar this last time against the Chiefs, really kind of held Travis Kelce in check. And this was Duggar as a rookie. And then so now you're going in. Duggar's been a lot better since then. He's been a very good player. The Bill Belichick and the Patriots often really try hard to take away Travis Kelce. They hit him at the line of scrimmage with pass rushers and then have a safety come over and try to cover him. They go slap him with a double team on first down and on third down and on second down and whenever they want, and they mix it up and they make it really hard for Travis Kelce to beat them. Well, this is the time it finally happens. Travis Kelce takes advantage of Jawan Bentley and Jelani Tavai in coverage. Who? Exactly. He takes care of them. He has a big game. Kelce gets his versus the Patriots, and he is your non-Mahomes Chiefs MVP.
Jelani Tavai was a my guy, Maddie. Come on.
I'm aware. And his brother is apparently also on their roster that he definitely knew he had.
It's July. Let's mix things up a little bit. Okay, so we've talked a lot about
Isn't that what I did?
We've talked a lot about the developmental arc of BJ Thompson. as a guy that is probably not going to see some time early in the season, but if he's able to stick around and develop and proves worthy of, sticking around on the roster, he could be, a guy that maybe gets involved a little bit more late as the season goes on. Well, I think this could be a game where you could see BJ Thompson in the mix this late in the year against a heavier footed left tackle in Trent Brown. So I think BJ Thompson he's got unique athletic ability. We know that. Insane bend and length and explosiveness off the ball. Obviously, there's going to be some questions about, how he's going to be able to work his body, what his body looks like heading into training camp, how he plays the run, how he picks up everything. But as a pure rusher up the arc, he's a problem. So this could be one of those opportunities if BJ Thompson gets into the mix here in a big way late in the season. This is a perfect game for him to try to run up the arc and cause some problems against a heavier footed left tackle in Trent Brown. So let's have some fun today. We're going to say BJ Thompson. I will be singing the praises of BJ Thompson if he's able to get a sack in this game. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.
Last game preview of the season here for us, because obviously we don't do double with the Raiders and the Chargers. We've or the Broncos, the divisional teams. We've already talked about them. So there's one more team left, and it's the last AFC team that this team has played. Cincinnati comes to Burrowhead to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. What's the quality of this roster, Craig?
I mean, as much as we want to windmill dunk on this team, it's a really good roster. It is a very, very good roster. That wide receiver group is phenomenal. They'll probably have Tyler Boyd this game. So according to him, they're going to score about 120 points because he will be playing. But no, Joe Burrow, fantastic quarterback. Joe Mixon, a really scary running back. You got Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd out there. It is scary. I actually really like the Irv Smith Jr. move to try and add to their, tight end room. I think that's a good one as well. And the defense has enough players, specifically on the defensive line, to make an impact. Sam Hubbard, Trey Hendrickson, BJ Hill, DJ Reader. That is a scary-ish foursome, and they added a couple of guys as well. But this is a pretty damn good roster, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
I think the roster quality is fraudulent. Just like everything about this team, full of a bunch of frauds, a bunch of phonies, a bunch of fakes. It's a team entirely boosted on the backs of Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. And you know what? No, not even Tyler Boyd. He's also part of the fraudulent squad. It's really just an entire team boosted up by Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. That's all they have to offer on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, we'll talk about it next. It's all coaching. Players, frauds, all frauds. Discount Cleveland, frauds. What do you think of this roster?
I mean, if this was a 7-on-7 league, they'd be pretty solid. But they're not. And their
defense.
Their offensive line, it's got some question marks as it has every single year. There's always an injury or two that occurs. And when that happens, things never go well for the Cincinnati Bengals. Chris Jones eats Joe Burrow's lunch in the AFC Championship game. A lot of quality players, a lot of quality pass catchers, good running back, some interesting tight ends. And like the defense, they've got a collection of players as well.
For real, on defense, there's a lot of fraudulent activities going on. If you look at this defense, I mean, you got a cornerback room led by Chidobe Awuzie and Cam Taylor-Britt. That's what you got. You lose 2 starting safeties, and you're going to run out there at Dax Hill and Nick Scott. Fraudulent, very fraudulent on the back end right now.
Quality of the coaching staff. Craig, why don't you be nice today?
I am being nice. I am the only one apparently that's going to actually look at this roster and break it down.
It's July and I'm angry.
Listen, Zach Taylor, if you haven't been listening to the Athletics, the Play Callers podcast series, after you finish this, go listen to that. It's excellent. Zach Taylor's part of it as well. Comes from that McVay tree, comes from that origins. I think he's finally starting to find his own a little bit more. I think he's becoming a much better play caller. Finally overcoming some of those things that were wearing on him before, trying to figure out how to use Joe Burrow, trying to figure out how to use Jamar Chase that wasn't just throw him up the ball and hope it, happens, much like we talked about with Bill O'Brien earlier. And then his defensive counterpart in Lou Anarumo has been fantastic. Like, he really does a really good job tailoring his game plans, especially in the playoffs, to every individual team in a way that we haven't seen in a little while. He is very tough to play against, especially in the playoffs, especially in these big games. He just puts a lot of stuff on tape, and it's stuff it's not just like Wink Martindale where it's just a lot of stuff and he's hoping to catch you, hoping to make you make a mistake. It is very concentrated. Once he finds that little crack that he can attack, he's going to keep doing it over and over and over until the dam breaks. It's a good coaching staff. They've really put together a good one so far, and it's why they've been able to maximize this good level of non-fraudulent talent.
I mean, offensively, I still think it's pretty fraudulent. Jamar Chase's route tree is essentially the same as what it was as a rookie. It's just like other stuff happened, so it made people forget that they just kind of throw go balls and like little slants and stop routes to him. T. Higgins, kind of the same thing. Like, the offense operated better. I do think I give them credit. They realized that teams are going to play cover 2 against them or 2-man, and they're going to make it hard to hit the YOLO balls down the sideline. So they went from a completely fraudulent offensive scheme to like a 50% fraudulent offensive scheme last year. So like, kudos to them for that. On the other side, this entire team is just based around Big Lou being amazing. He's the only reason we don't think of this team as just one giant fraudulent franchise, is because Big Lou is one of the top 2, and he's not 2 defensive coordinators in the game right now. This defense has Sam Hubbard, DJ Reader, BJ Hill, Trey Hendrickson on the defensive front, and they absolutely destroy teams in the playoffs. I'm not saying they're bad players, but that's not a dominant defensive line. That's not a defensive line that should be running the league's best offenses off the field, and they do regularly. On the back end, we already talked about it. Like, yeah, they lost Jesse Bates and stuff, but like, they didn't have any studs in the secondary, and they still very rarely got absolutely obliterated through the air because Big Lou is saving them from being discount Cleveland fraud goals week in and week out.
They do deserve a lot of credit for kind of mixing up things in the run game the back half of the last season a little bit.
Don't try and join me over here on this island. Keep your vitriol, buddy.
Fine. I think their play calling is Skyline Chili. Give me a new addition, Craig.
So pasta?
Yeah,
Impasta?
Impasta. That's too good. That's too good. The new addition that I am keeping an eye on here is Orlando Brown Jr. We in Kansas City are Orlando Brown Jr.
Oh, got it.
Starting left tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals. We are all very, very aware of what Orlando Brown Jr.'s strengths and weaknesses are in Kansas City. So are the Chiefs. They let Orlando Brown Jr. walk for nothing. Just let him hit free agency. Decided we'll collect whatever that comp pick, whatever it's going to be, next year. So the question is he going to play to the level that he did in Kansas City? Is he going to play to the level that he did in Baltimore? He certainly wants to return to yet another Pro Bowl, consistently voted that way by his peers and other coaches. However, they need somebody over there that is a stabilizing force. The thing that has destroyed this franchise over the past 3 years and prevented them from getting over the hump and putting a ring on some fingers is the fact that that offensive line is terrible and routinely terrible. The Chiefs got after Joe Burrow in the AFC Championship game last year, and that was an improved offensive line, or at least an attempt at one at that point. So Orlando Brown Jr. coming in could offer a stabilizing force. If he does not, they are right back to square one, trying to keep Joe Burrow healthy and not able to do some of the things that they want to do.
I'm going to go with Joe Burrow. Joe Cool, cigar smoking Joe. He's back there. He's talking trash. He's lighting up the league. He's doing all this. He's winning games. He's making big plays.
He's a new addition.
Oh, we're on new edition, not players to watch. Oh man, I was ready to roll. That's
ready to go.
Oh man,
it was in the holster. I even debated interrupting you.
You know what?
I was ready to give Burrow so many compliments, but that's okay.
No.
Okay.
Hey,
we're going back. No, Nick Scott, safety. He comes in. He has to replace Jesse Bates. He came from the Rams. He was pretty good for the Rams as a little bit of a rotational role, filling in for some injuries for them. I think he's kind of ready to take the next step. He's got big shoes to fill there with Jesse Bates. But I do think I give this defense a little bit of crap because I don't know if they are as good as the stats always say. I think Jesse Bates also helped them a lot. He gets them set up. He covers a lot of mistakes anybody else may or may not make. That's up to Nick Scott now or Dax Hill, but I think it's going to be a lot on Nick Scott's plate. So can he do that? Can he provide that veteran leadership that Jesse Bates did and keep that defense running the way Big Lou wants it to run? Because if not, yikes.
I'm going to go with Charlie Jones, the slot receiver from Purdue. And so Trenton Irwin kind of had a little bit of success late in the year for them as a guy operating in the slot. And I think Charlie Jones could be the Tyler Boyd / better Trenton Irwin type player for this team down the road. He's an interesting player with a really good athletic profile, kind of surprisingly athletic profile, better than I thought it would test, which is watching him on tape. But he's a really quality kind of guy that can operate within the middle of the field, good route runner, tough as nails, willing to catch the ball away from his frame in the middle of the field. I think he could be I think he's a guy that could really push for opportunities as soon as this year. And I'm a fan of his. All right. I want to start with Maddie on this one.
Oh man, I was going to pick Joe Burrow.
Listen, Nick,
players
Tucker,
to watch, Maddie.
Can somebody pipe in my intro to this segment from before? Can we just put it back in here now so I don't got to repeat it? Okay. Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, Stogie smoking Burrow coming out here, throwing YOLO balls up, leading comebacks, the coolest guy in football, all that stuff. Also known as the guy single most benefited by playing with Big Lou. Can Joe Burrow finally not choke when it comes to a big game in the playoffs? Can the guy finally not get boosted up by his defensive coordinator bailing him out every big game? Can he go out there and win a game on his own with his fraudulent self? Or is he just going to sit back and let Big Daddy Lou take care of it for him?
To be fair, he did have a couple really big throws in the AFC Championship game to Chiefs rookie defensive backs.
Listen, he was just begging for Big Lou to bail him out like he did the year before and every playoff game before that. That's all he's doing out there. He's my player to watch. Maybe he can finally get over the hurdle and not have to go crawling back to Big Lou.
Craig, who's your player to watch?
Throw a touchdown in the fourth quarter, buddy.
Big Daddy Lou, huh? This man is just escalating. All right, my player to watch is Daxton Hill. Maddie alluded to him and how that safety room is not good and that secondary doesn't look like it's going to be good either. Dax Hill was a first-round pick last year that played in 15 games and only played 14% of the defensive snaps. He did not grasp what they wanted him to do, and there was room on this defense for him to slot in. Big Daddy Lou, would have figured out a way to use him if he would have been able to get on the field in a meaningful way. Now he's supposed to be a starter. Now they're putting a lot on his plate here. What happens with that? He was a guy that I liked. I liked his versatility, his flexibility. I thought he was going to be great in like a Steve Spagnuolo scheme. I condoned drafting him in the first round of that draft. He was not good in this defense last year. He needs to make significant strides because we know the offense is going to score plenty for Cincinnati. That's not a worry at all. But if this secondary doesn't have one guy step up at all, they are going to be playing in a lot of shootouts because there's going to be a lot of space on the back end.
My player to watch is Joseph Osai. Chiefs legend Joseph Osai. Let's see if he can make any tackles inbounds against the Chiefs. How does this team beat the Chiefs, Craig?
Leave them alone. They play them in the regular season. That's how. I feel like I did that one. What was that? A couple weeks ago. But that's how it happened. The Bills. Yeah. Listen, Joe Burrow and this offense are good enough to put up 40 points in this game. They just are. They have the potential to do so against the regular season. Towards the end of the season, Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo, who are going to be keeping a lot of stuff close to the vest because they don't want to reveal anything for the playoffs. I still don't know if it'll matter, though, because that secondary is not good. They're going to be relying on Trey Hendrickson, BJ Hill, DJ Reader, and Sam Hubbard to be superheroes, and Miles Murphy, I guess, Joseph Osai. They're going to be relying on those guys to do literally everything because it's going to be hard to cover the Chiefs' weapons on the other side. So it will be a shootout in this game, even with some vanilla concepts there. I can just see the Chiefs maybe giving up some stuff towards the end of the game, not wanting to let too much on, not thinking that it's going to be a big deal because we're going to get out the good stuff here in a few weeks when we probably see them in the playoffs again.
Well, that's just it. The Chiefs are sitting there at a 1 seed. The Fraud Goals are maybe a 2, 3, 4 seed. Like, you're going to probably see them again in a couple weeks. How much the Chiefs really going to show? It's the Fraud Goal Super Bowl. They're going to lay it all on the line. They're going to do absolutely everything they can to win this game. The Chiefs usually, not the Chiefs, Andy Reid usually holds just a little bit back. He does.
He admitted to it specifically against the Bengals. He said last year specifically they didn't move Chris Jones around a ton the first game because they were going to do it against him the second game.
He keeps stuff in the holster, and this game coming so late every year, I think always gives this false sense that the Fraud Goals are better, or they might have the Chiefs number or something like that. And it's just like the Chiefs are just holding stuff back. So yeah, that might happen again. And then, Joe Burrow is going to throw some YOLO balls off to Jamar Chase, who's going to probably elbow someone in the back of the head and make a great catch, get bailed out there. It'll be late in the fourth quarter. Big Lou will save the day yet again. And then Joe Burrow hand the ball off to Joe Mixon, who will run a 1-yard touchdown. And we'll talk about how great Joe Burrow was. As they come back and beat the Chiefs from behind at essentially the same way every other regular season game has gone against the Fraud Goals at this point in time, right? Like, it's not hard to see how they beat the Chiefs. The recipe's already there. The Chiefs take it not lightly, but they purposely don't show a lot of stuff. The Fraud Goals care a lot more. Big Lou bails out Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase commits a lot of OPIs that aren't called, so on and so forth, rinse and repeat.
It's 4 3-point games between these teams.
Mm-hmm.
And you can point to big boneheaded mistakes that the Chiefs make in every single one of them. Except for, and honestly, oh, by the way, Patrick Mahomes beat Joe Burrow in the AFC Championship game on a high ankle sprain. Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, he lost the ball out of his hands because he really couldn't move well, trying to manipulate his body on a high ankle sprain and fumble the ball and gave Joe Burrow 65 different chances to try to put the ball in the end zone, and they weren't good enough. Their best wasn't good enough. I think the stink is off. I think it's done. I think this whole the Bengals no, I think it's over. I think we're going to see more than a 3-point win in the regular season with the Chiefs not showing much, because it's been a bunch of these little 3-point games, even with the Chiefs not showing much in the past. And it's been dumb little things that have just caught up to them in the regular season. The swag the Bengals had is fake. They've only scored over 30 points one time. Joe Burrow's only put 30 points on the board one time. I think the bit is over for Cincinnati. I think it's done. It's a bit.
It's definitely a bit. Oh man, imagine when Big Lou gets a job next year as a head coach. Like, what are they gonna do?
Well, afterwards? They're not gonna have any jewelry on their fingers still.
They'll buy plenty.
No rings and no defensive coordinator here in about 7 months.
Oh,
unbelievable.
Craig, who's the non-Mahomes Chiefs MVP?
The non-Mahomes Chiefs MVP is Chris Jones. I know I've used him before, but I can't not.
Who cares?
Chris Jones. I try it. Listen, some of us try and come up with a little bit different take. Gosh.
Be new.
Yeah, don't repeat, Kent. No, it's Chris Jones because he got the monkey off of his back with playoff sacks against Joe Burrow with 2 of them there. The previous season, he got 2 against Joe Burrow as well. It's happening again. Chris Jones, They moved him around a ton. They kept some stuff close to the vest so that they could really get after that Bengals offense, and they were able to. There's nothing left to hide for Chris Jones anymore. They're going to play him everywhere. They're going to use him everywhere. And even with a vanilla game plan, he's still going to go to town and wreck both the interior and the edges of this offensive line. That's right. I said it. He's going to get after the tackles as well. Chris Jones is going to have another multi-sack game against Joe Burrow, closing out the season, having an excellent year once again. And this is going to be the ones that we throw the highlights on after the year, once again, as Chris Jones wins Defensive Player of the Year.
Woo! So, the Fraud Goals usually play Travis Kelce pretty well. Big Lou makes it his mission to shut him down. During, it's last year during the regular season, we all know Kelce's having a pretty good game. And then unfortunately on trying to, because they couldn't tackle him because they're not good enough. They get lucky and force a fumble that allows them to win the game because he was better than them and they couldn't tackle him. That happened last year. And then the playoffs come around. Kelce does his thing in the playoffs, but the Fraud Goals make it hard on Travis Kelce. They throw a lot at him. They really do try to take him away, especially without Tyreek Hill or somebody, drawing this extra attention. They make it really hard on Travis Kelce. Will that matter this year? I don't know, but the non-Mahomes MVP of this game is 100% going to be Nuke Hopkins.
We should have let you go last. That would have been a great way to end the show. Patrick Mahomes, non-Patrick Mahomes MVP. I don't do this ever. Maybe once.
What?
This is the last. This is
You
the
do
last
it every year.
I'm invoking Levon.
You do it every year.
I know, but not every.
I veto this.
I'm invoking Levon. This is one of those
definitely
games
should
where
have
it's
had me
going to
go
be a lot
last.
of fun to watch Patrick Levon Mahomes go up against Joe Burrow and just completely destroy these stupid narratives, like these fake Super Bowls that are in the heads of the Cincinnati Bengals fans that don't exist. Like I maybe this is going to be a game where there's going to be some competition. Maybe there's some competition for the 1 seed. I don't know. We'll see if the Bengals can hold up their end of the deal. Probably not. But if they are, this will be a really fun game to watch these two quarterbacks go up against each other. And I'm excited to see just I think the Bengals were in the Chiefs' heads just a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. And not everybody's, but maybe just just enough. I think that's gone. I think they've gotten rid of all that, and I think Levon's gonna go off against the Bengals the next time they see him, vanilla script or not. It'll be a lot of fun. It's gonna make Lou Anarumo's Big Daddy Lou look like Skyline Chili. That is going to do it for the Casey Laboratory. Thank you all so much. We'll catch you later.